The ballroom of the Grand Regency Hotel shimmered under golden chandeliers, filled with laughter that sounded too polished to be real. Tonight was Raymond Carter's 60th birthday, and his wife, Vanessa, had spared no expense. Guests from the city's elite business circle mingled in designer gowns and sleek tuxedos. At the edge of the room, Maya Carter adjusted her simple black dress, feeling invisible amid the glitter. The air smelled of money, perfume, and hypocrisy. She approached the registration table, where Vanessa's assistant handed her a name tag with a smirk. In elegant calligraphy, it read, "The Disappointment." Maya's hand trembled slightly as she pinned it to her dress. "Really?" she asked coolly. The assistant shrugged. Mrs. Carter thought it was fitting. Maya smiled thinly. "Tell Mrs. Carter I appreciate her honesty." For 10 years, Maya had endured this: Vanessa's cruel humor, her father's cold silence, and the whispers that followed her everywhere. They called her the rebel daughter, the one who refused to join the family investment firm. What they didn't know was that her tech company, Link Systems, had quietly become a multi-billion-dollar empire. She had chosen anonymity over validation, and tonight, that choice would finally pay off. "Oh, look!" Vanessa's voice sliced through the music. The disappointment finally arrived. Heads turned. Maya's jaw tightened as her stepmother glided toward her, champagne glass in hand. Vanessa's red gown hugged her figure like arrogance made fabric. "I wasn't sure you'd have the courage to show up," she said sweetly. "I wouldn't miss Dad's birthday," Maya replied evenly. "How touching." Vanessa's eyes swept over her dress. "TJ Maxx having a sale?" Before Maya could respond, her father appeared, tall, commanding, still the man who made rooms go silent. He glanced at the name tag and snorted. "At least it's accurate." Vanessa's laugh, shrill and satisfied, filled the space. "I told you it was perfect, darling. Everyone should know who she is." Around them, murmurs rippled. "Can you believe she turned down the partnership?" someone whispered. "Wasting her potential." Another chuckled softly. "I heard she's barely making rent." Maya reached for a passing waiter's tray and took a champagne flute. The bubbles fizzed like anger in her throat. For 10 years, she had let them write her story. For 10 years, she had been their favorite cautionary tale. But not tonight. Tonight would be her rewrite. "Speech time," Vanessa announced, tapping her glass with manicured fingers. "Everyone, gather around. The birthday boy has wisdom to share." The crowd formed a glittering semicircle around Raymond as he stepped to the microphone, basking in applause. "Thank you all for coming," he began. "Success, as I've always said, is about making the right choices. Look around. This room is filled with people who did just that." His gaze found Maya, unlike some who wasted theirs. Laughter erupted. Vanessa beamed like a proud queen. Maya's chest burned, but her expression stayed calm. "When I think about my legacy," Raymond continued, "I'm proud that my firm thrives, that the Carter name still means something in business." He lifted his glass. "Though I had hoped my daughter would carry it forward," he trailed off with a shrug that made the audience chuckle again. Something snapped inside Maya. The years of humiliation, the quiet restraint, all of it melted. She raised her glass high. "I'd like to make a toast," she said clearly. Vanessa's smile froze. "Maya, dear, the floor belongs to your father." "Then I'll borrow it for a moment," Maya replied. "To new beginnings," Maya said, her voice steady and loud enough for the entire room. "And to the last time any of you will ever see me." The room went still. Raymond choked on a champagne. "Maya, don't you dare?" "Oh, I dare," she said softly, unpinning her name tag. She dropped it into her champagne glass, watching it sink. "You wanted to label me? Fine. But you should have done your research first." Vanessa's eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" Maya reached into her clutch and placed a sealed envelope on the gift table. "Happy birthday, Dad." She turned toward the door. "Running away again?" Vanessa called out, her voice sharp. "Proving us right?" Maya stopped, her back straight. "No, Vanessa. I'm not running away. I'm walking away. There's a difference." A murmur swept through the crowd as she smiled faintly. Oh, and you might want to check tomorrow's business news. The disappointment has a surprise for you all. With that, she walked out. The ballroom's laughter faltered behind her. In the silence of her car, Maya took a deep breath and texted one line to her assistant. Execute Operation Phoenix. The next morning, sunlight poured through the glass walls of Maya's true office, an entire floor atop the newest skyscraper downtown. Her assistant, Zoe, set a fresh cup of coffee on the desk. It's done, said James, her COO, stepping inside. Press release went live 10 minutes ago. Every major network's running the story. Maya turned toward the wall of screens. The headlines were poetry. Tech giant Link Systems acquires Carter Investments. Daughter's revenge. The billionaire behind market's boldest takeover. Maya smiled faintly. Let the family meeting begin. Her phone buzzed nonstop, calls from lawyers, investors, journalists, even Vanessa. She ignored them all. Zoe peeked in. Your father and stepmother are downstairs. They're demanding to see you. Maya checked her watch. Let them wait 15 minutes. Those minutes crawled deliciously. Through the security feed, she watched Vanessa pacing, her heels clicking on marble. Raymond sat rigid, staring at the massive Link Systems logo on the wall. When they were finally escorted up, Maya stood by the window in a tailored charcoal suit, her power undeniable. Good morning, she said softly. Welcome to my empire. Raymond's jaw tightened as he waved his phone, the news headlines flashing on the screen. What the hell is this, Maya? Business, she said calmly. Isn't that what you always preached? Seize opportunities. Eliminate competition. You can't do this, Vanessa sputtered. Carter Investments has been in this family for generations. Correction, Maya replied. It was in the family. Now it's a division of Link Systems. She gestured toward the contract displayed on her screen. Over the past 5 years, I've quietly acquired controlling shares through subsidiaries. Yesterday, we crossed the threshold. Vanessa blinked, stunned. You planned this. Every move, Maya said softly. Raymond's shoulders slumped. The envelope at the party, what was in it? My resignation from your board, she replied smoothly. You didn't know? I've been a silent board member for 3 years through one of my holding companies. His eyes widened. That's impossible. Oh, it's very possible, Maya said. While you mocked my failed startup, I was watching, learning, preparing. Vanessa's lipstick trembled. Your company is worth $12 billion. How? Maya smiled. Vision. Discipline. Silence. She turned toward the window. You see, while you spent your days chasing applause, I spent mine building something that didn't need it. Vanessa's voice rose. You lived like a nobody. Drove a regular car. Rented a cheap apartment. Maya turned to face her. Because success isn't about showing off. It's about substance. Raymond stepped closer, desperation leaking through his pride. Maya, come back. Take your rightful place at Carter Investments. We can rebuild together. My rightful place? She repeated quietly. You mean the one you said I'd never earn? The one you told everyone I'd waste? Please, he said. We're family. She laughed once, a short, broken sound. Family doesn't label their daughter the disappointment in front of strangers. Maya pressed a button on her desk, and 2 security officers stepped inside, silent but firm. The board meets at 2 o'clock, she said. You'll attend, Father. It's the official announcement of your retirement. Raymond's mouth fell open. You can't. Oh, I can, Maya said, her eyes steady. After all, Link Systems has a strict policy. No disappointments in leadership positions. Vanessa's face flushed red with rage. You'll regret this. Maybe, Maya replied, picking up her framed name tag from the desk. But I'll enjoy every second until then. She smiled. It'll look perfect in my new office across the street. Security escorted them out. When the door closed, Maya sank into her chair, exhaling slowly. This wasn't about revenge, not really. It was about freedom, about finally proving that success could grow quietly, without their approval. 3 months later, the transformation was complete. Carter Investments, now rebranded as Carter Links Capital, looked nothing like the crumbling firm her father had built. The dusty offices were modernized, the rigid hierarchy replaced with collaboration, and the toxic culture dismantled piece by piece. Maya walked the halls daily, greeting employees by name. For the first time, people smiled at work. But there was still one final chapter left. Late one night, Maya sat in what used to be her father's office, now sleek and minimalist. Audit reports filled her desk, pages and pages of secrets. Hidden accounts, shell companies, questionable transactions buried under consulting fees. "Miss Carter," her assistant's voice came through the intercom. "The federal agents are here. Send them in." 2 agents entered, badges gleaming. Agent Morrison. Agent Chen. "Thank you for meeting us," Maya said. Morrison nodded. "The documentation you provided has been invaluable. Your father and stepmother will face serious charges." Maya's lips barely moved. "When?" "Tomorrow morning," Agent Chen replied. "We wanted to give you advance notice." Maya nodded. "I appreciate that. I made my peace months ago." When they left, she stood by the window, gazing down at the glittering skyline. The same city that had once mocked her now carried her name on every major building. Her reflection stared back at her, calm but haunted. She remembered the day she'd found the evidence, buried deep in financial files during her silent bored years. Her father's empire had been a house built on lies, money laundering, tax evasion, fraud. The family legacy was criminal. Her phone buzzed. A message from Vanessa. "We need to talk. Please." One last time. Maya hesitated, then typed back. 1 hour. At your house. When she arrived, her security detail flanked her, discreet but alert. The mansion that had once intimidated her now looked hollow. The chandeliers were dim, the air stale. Vanessa opened the door, wearing plain clothes. No designer silk, no diamonds. "Thank you for coming," she whispered. Inside, Raymond sat in his study, his once dominant posture collapsed. "The FBI contacted you?" he asked quietly. "They did," Maya said. "And you can't stop what's coming." She took a seat across from them. "Did you ever stop mocking me? Did you ever stop humiliating me in front of others?" Raymond's eyes filled with regret. "We didn't know. That's the problem," Maya cut in. "You never tried to know. You only judged." Vanessa clasped her hands. "The charges, they'll destroy us." "No," Maya said softly. "You destroyed everything. I only revealed the truth." Vanessa leaned forward. "We can make a deal. Give Carter Links back. We'll make you CEO, officially, publicly." Maya shook her head. "I don't need recognition. I needed a father who believed in me." Vanessa's voice cracked. "You can't let this happen." "I didn't make it happen," Maya replied. "You did. Every time you laughed at me, every time you called me a mistake, you built this ending yourselves." She stood, her voice cold but controlled. "The FBI comes tomorrow morning. Get ready." "Maya, wait," Raymond said, his voice trembling. "I'm still your father." She stopped at the doorway, her back to them. "No," she said quietly. "You're just another disappointment." Then she walked out, her heels echoing against the marble, each step closing a chapter she'd waited a decade to end. The next day, the news exploded. Former CEO Raymond Carter and wife arrested for financial crimes. Their mugshots dominated every channel. Maya watched silently from her penthouse office, expression unreadable. Her assistant Zoe entered gently. "They've been taken into custody." Maya nodded. "Good. Let the truth do the rest." The media wanted interviews, but she declined them all. Her silence spoke louder than any headline. She turned her chair toward the window, the skyline blazing in morning light. "Justice isn't loud," she murmured. "It's steady." And in that steady silence, she finally felt peace. Months later, Carter Links flourished. Profits tripled. Employees thrived. Maya had turned scandal into progress. She launched scholarships for young women in tech, naming them the Phoenix Grants. During one ceremony, A young intern asked. "Miss Carter, what inspired all this?" Maya smiled. Failure did. Or rather, what people thought was failure. The audience laughed softly, touched by her humility. That night, she stayed late in her office, gazing at two framed items on the wall, the name tag that once called her the disappointment, and her company's motto, "Success isn't inherited, it's earned." One afternoon, she received a letter, handwritten, trembling. From prison. "Dear Maya, they gave me 15 years. I deserve them. Vanessa got 8. I know I failed you, but if there's one thing I taught you right, it's strength. You were stronger than I ever was. I'm proud of you, even if I don't deserve to be. Dad." Maya folded the letter slowly, her throat tight. She placed it in a drawer, beside a photo of her late mother. "He finally said it," she whispered. Too late, but he said it. Weeks passed. One morning, Maya received a message from Claire, Vanessa's daughter from her first marriage. "Thank you for saving my college fund. I never liked how they treated you." Maya smiled faintly and texted back, "Education matters. Don't let anyone take it from you." The younger woman replied with a heart emoji. It was small, but it meant something. As Maya looked around her office, the one filled with sunlight and quiet, she realized her revenge had evolved into redemption. She hadn't just torn something down, she'd built something better. That evening, Maya visited her mother's grave for the first time in years. The cemetery was quiet, the air cool. She knelt and placed fresh white lilies on the marble stone. "Mom," she whispered, "it's over. They can't hurt me anymore." A tear slipped down her cheek. "You always said truth wins in the end. You were right." Her phone buzzed again, another message from her board. A major investor wanted to expand links into Europe. Maya smiled through her tears. "Looks like the disappointment's going global." In the months that followed, Maya's name became a symbol in business circles. The silent billionaire who outsmarted her family. She graced magazine covers, though she still lived simply. When asked why she avoided luxury, she replied, "Because I've already seen what greed looks like." At night, she often worked late, the city lights flickering below. Sometimes, she'd stare at the skyline and wonder if her father was watching from his cell. Maybe he understood now what legacy really meant. Not inheritance, not pride, integrity. That was the real empire she'd built. One afternoon, her COO, James, entered. Investors from Singapore confirmed the partnership. "We're officially global." Maya nodded. "Good. Let's make sure the new branches run with the same values we built here." He smiled. "You've turned Carter Investments into something no one could have imagined." "I didn't turn it," she said softly. "I rebuilt it from ashes." James hesitated. "You ever think about forgiving them?" She looked out the window. "Forgiveness isn't forgetting, James. It's choosing peace over poison." He nodded, quietly respecting her strength. That night, alone in her penthouse, Maya opened a box filled with memories, old photos, letters, and a watch her mother had given her. She remembered being 12, sitting on her mother's lap, hearing her whisper, "You don't have to be seen to be powerful." Maya smiled. "You knew, didn't you?" she murmured. Outside, the city glowed. Her empire stood tall, proof that quiet determination could roar louder than arrogance. And for the first time in years, she slept peacefully. The following spring, Maya was invited to speak at a university commencement. Standing before thousands of graduates, she said, "They'll tell you success is about image. It's not. It's about vision, patience, and faith in yourself when no one else believes." Her words drew thunderous applause. In the front row sat young black women who saw themselves in her strength. Maya smiled. This was her legacy now. Not revenge, not money, empowerment. And as she stepped off the stage, a student whispered, she turned disappointment into destiny. Months later, Maya received another letter from prison. It was shorter. "You were right. Family isn't blood, it's trust. I wish I had been yours." She sighed, folded it neatly, and placed it next to the first one. The next morning, her company launched a new mentorship program for women rebuilding after family rejection. She named it Project Phoenix. When journalists asked why, she answered, "Because sometimes you have to burn the old to rise again." The quote went viral, and soon, her story became a global movement. Every few weeks, Maya visited community centers her foundation funded. She'd listen to stories of women starting over, divorcees, single mothers, survivors of betrayal. "You're not broken," she told them. "You're becoming." Her words resonated deeply. At one event, a teenager approached her shyly. "Miss Carter, my stepmom calls me a disappointment too." Maya knelt to her level. "Then prove her wrong, not with anger, but with success." The girl smiled, and Maya saw a glimpse of her younger self. She hugged her gently. The best revenge is happiness. Over time, Maya's heart softened. She no longer flinched at the sound of her father's name. She didn't celebrate his downfall anymore. She mourned what could have been. Sometimes, in quiet moments, she replayed his last words. "I'm proud of you." They were late, but they still mattered. She framed the letter beside her office door, not as forgiveness, but as closure. To visitors, it looked like decoration. To her, it was a reminder. Pain could turn into purpose if you refused to let it define you. Years later, Carterlinks had offices in 10 countries. Maya became one of the most respected CEOs in the world. But despite the power, she stayed humble. She took the bus sometimes, dined in local diners, spoke to interns like equals. When people asked how she stayed grounded, she said, "Because I know what it's like to be laughed at, and I never want anyone else to feel that small." She didn't lead with fear. She led with grace, and that's what made her unstoppable. One day, while visiting a new branch, she noticed a young receptionist wearing a homemade pin that said "The Disappointment." Maya smiled. "Nice pin." The girl blushed. "It reminds me not to let other people define me." Maya touched her shoulder. "Then wear it proudly. Let it remind you that names don't make you, choices do." As she walked away, Maya realized her story had already transcended her. It had become a language of resilience for others to speak through. Back in her office that evening, Maya gazed at the city lights again. The skyline reflected her journey. Bright, relentless, unbroken. Her assistant entered. "Another magazine wants to feature your story." Maya smiled. "Let them. But tell them to title it "The Disappointment Who Won." They both laughed softly. As the door closed, she whispered to herself, "You were wrong, Dad. I wasn't a disappointment. I was the lesson you never learned." Later that night, she opened her journal. "What is success?" she wrote. "It's not revenge. It's peace. It's waking up and knowing you're no longer chasing approval." She closed it, exhaled, and looked at the framed name tag one more time. "It started with humiliation," she said aloud, "but it ends with purpose." For Maya Carter, the disappointment had become destiny. And destiny looked good on her. Years passed quietly. Her empire ran smoothly, her name became legend, yet she remained the same woman who once walked out of that ballroom with dignity instead of rage. When young entrepreneurs asked her secret, she always said, "Silence is a strategy. Let success be your voice." They listened, took notes, and she smiled because she knew her story wasn't just hers anymore. It belonged to every dreamer ever doubted. One morning, standing at her office window, Maya saw a new sign being lifted across the street, over the building that once bore her father's name. It now read, "The Carter Foundation for Integrity and Innovation." She smiled. Sometimes, revenge evolves into legacy. And that, she thought, was the best transformation of all. As dusk settled, Maya poured herself a glass of champagne, the same drink from that long-ago birthday night. She lifted it toward the skyline. "To new beginnings," she whispered, echoing her own toast from years before. But this time, there was no anger, only gratitude. The city glowed below, and the woman once called a disappointment finally knew peace. She sipped, smiling softly. To endings that become beginnings. And when she turned off the office lights and walked out, the name tag on the wall gleamed faintly in the dark. The disappointment. No longer a mark of shame, now a crown of triumph. Because Maya Carter had proven one simple truth. The world may laugh at you, doubt you, dismiss you, but if you believe in your own fire, one day they'll all watch it light the sky. If you value stories of respect, dignity, and justice, please subscribe. It means more than you know, and it lets me keep sharing the lessons life has carved into me.